Hi, this is Joanne Kovacay. I'm your midlife coach and the founder of Midlife Rewritten. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with, let's see if I can get this right, Gita Saksena. Oh,
Thank
she's
you,
nodding. Okay, good. So Gita, would you just introduce yourself for me?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Joanne. And it's so nice to see your smiling face.
Oh, thank you. It's good to see you
So
again.
just to brief about myself, I'm from India, stay in Gurgaon, and I have two kids, one of whom is 16 and the other one is 8. Professionally, I'm an entrepreneur and I run my own consulting organization, wherein we are using design thinking principles in the area of management consulting, capability and capacity building. We also run an entity called Women Lead India, wherein we're trying to create a platform where women leaders from diverse industries, diverse functional backgrounds can come together and support each other's professional leadership journey. We provide support in the form of research, in the form of networking, in the form of coaching, developmental interventions, but all aimed at enabling each and every member to optimize their potential as a leader and as a human being. So that's me, 22 plus years of experience now. Wow. And being very, very happy talking to Joanne at this point.
Well, it was really great to meet you at the Women's Economic Forum. It was quite an event, and I really enjoyed having a chance to talk with you and get to know a little bit more about Women Lead. And you know, we talked a bit about midlife and how it can sneak up on you, and how you have some. You know, it's often that we have preconceived ideas about what midlife is all about, and sometimes we can be surprised about that. So maybe you'd like to share with us a little bit about your feelings about midlife and some of the things that you dealt with.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting question, Joanne, and thank you so much for raising this topic and having a conversation around it. So about an year back, I remember that I'd written a blog on midlife career crisis on LinkedIn. And the kind of views and the kind of comments I got, I don't think I've got it for any other blog that I've written. Yeah, which means that it is a genuine challenge that people are facing, and somewhere they're also connecting with both the pros and the cons of midlife crisis. The way it crept up to me was in a very, very interesting manner. We were having our yoga class, and suddenly the conversation turned to the age of different people who are part of my group. And one of them said, I'm 35. One of them said, I'm 39. There's some people who sheepishly admitted that they've touched 40 now. And there I was, 45 years old, sitting in the group. And to my horror, I realized, oh, I am the eldest in the group. And non-close friends, people with whom you deal, daily, people with whom you have lots of fun, people, with whom you discuss your kids' issues, and that's when it actually hit me. Okay, I'm now a part of what we call the midlife
group. Yeah.
So that's how it crept up on me, actually.
Yeah.
And those conversations actually make you realize where you are in terms of your life stage the most.
Yeah. It's interesting how once you actually start talking about age, it changes things, because, before that conversation came up, you were just a bunch of women doing a yoga class. But suddenly now, when everybody pegs an age to themselves, then you kind of adjust and reshuffle, and you think, oh, okay. It's really too bad.
And there are biases, there are prejudices, including which yoga asana you can do and which yoga asana you cannot do. So, so that's the lighter side of it. But yes, I think that's essentially how society works and how conventionally we've been thinking about it.
Yeah, it is true. And it's kind of sad, right? That our mind kind of goes into that place. because we tend to stereotype or categorize or put people in boxes in I guess it's human nature to do that because it helps you. I don't know. I remember reading some article about how it kind of helps you think faster because you can generalize certain things. But unfortunately, age, there's such a stigma to growing older um, that it makes it kind of hard. So during that time, did you find that um, there were things that you were struggling with? You know, for a lot of women, when they get to that midlife stage, they some are fortunate and their life has fallen into place where they wanted it, and you know, life is good. For others, it's a time for them to kind of reassess. Where am I? Am I where I want to be? What's going on? You have young children still, so sometimes it's a little different for women who had their children younger, and so they're at that stage where their children are leaving home. It really kind of brings home that fact that, oh, this is a different stage of my life.
Yeah. No, it does bring in a share of challenges, and this was especially true for me because after almost 15 years of corporate experience,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to take the entrepreneurial leave
Mm-hmm.
when I was about 40. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, it was a stage of exploration, it was a stage of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, that discovery really needed to be done at my level. You know, what do you really stand for as an individual? What do you stand for as a professional? And what are those core strengths that you could be really leveraging in
Mm-hmm.
order to make a difference to the life of individuals or organizations that you deal with? Uh, so that itself was a process in itself, and I think what happened beautifully at that point of time was the kind of support that I got, not only from my family and especially my husband, but also the business partners that I started my entrepreneurial journey with. The
Mm-hmm.
fact that they were able to give me that space, that time
Mm-hmm.
to proceed on that journey of self discovery and really connecting with the core strengths that I have as an individual was probably the biggest support system.
Mm-hmm.
The other challenge that I realized was you suddenly realize that half your life is over. And, you know, there are just
Yeah.
so many more years to go.
Yeah.
And all said and done, you are strongly connected with, you know, how much can you do once you cross 50 years and how much you can do once you cross 60 years.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there were challenges in terms of prioritization because, and as you said, my kids are still growing up and they still need my support. I also realized that I need to start paying attention to my health because whatever I do in the 40s, that will lay the base and the foundation for how I feel, uh, you know, when I'm in my 50s and my 60s. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a huge prioritization which needed to be done at my end.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, the pressure of building up the business, building up the team, and therefore there was a lot of excitement which was happening. But going back to the fact, I think the biggest challenge is when you realize half your life is over, and you know you don't know how many more years do you have
That's
in
right.
order to really optimize your potential and
Mm-hmm.
achieve your dreams and achieve your aspirations. At this point of time, can I say I've achieved whatever I dream of? Probably no. There's still a journey which needs to be covered. But I'm in a space where I'm deeply connected with who I am as an individual and what are my areas of strength and what are some of the things that I really need support from other people. And then I'm hoping that that self reflection and that connection will help me achieve my dreams. Uh, and I'm praying to God that I stay alive to see that day when I can say that, yes,
Yeah.
you know, I've truly lived a meaningful life.
Yeah. Yeah. It is quite sobering when, I mean, you know, we all know that we're going to die, that we're not going to be able to stay here forever, but there comes a time when it seems to have much more substance in our life and you were like, wow, okay, this is really going to happen one of these days. So I need to think about that, right? How many more candles can I put on my birthday cake? And yeah, it can be a very sobering thought. And I think it does kind of set the stage for that reflection, as you say, and that that inner, that looking inward and trying to set your priorities, as you said. It becomes so much more important at that stage of the game.
True.
I think, what you said about having the support of your family and the people in your work environment is really important. A lot of women aren't that fortunate, and when they go about wanting to make change for themselves and to do things differently, a lot of times the family kind of goes, "What? What are you saying? What do you want here? I'm pretty happy with this."
Think about doing this at this stage of your career when you are completely set, you settle down and you can do so well, etc., etc.
Yeah, there's all of that. And it means that they have to adjust as well. And they're not always in that space where they want to or they can adjust. And so it can be pretty challenging. I think that it's important to look at many different sources for your support, because it may not always be in the area where you think they are. And to be able to find a group of women that you can feel comfortable with, feel vulnerable with, and who are like-minded in terms of what they want from their lives and what they want to do going forward makes such a big difference. And I get the sense that the work that you're doing with Women Lead is along those veins, that you're developing that community that provides support for women.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that organization?
So Women Lead is a group of 300 leaders now, Joanne, and it is a global group that we have created. So we have leaders from Australia, we have leaders from Canada, we have leaders from Israel, and obviously India is very, very supportive. As you said, when we started this group 4 years back, the idea was to help women break the glass ceiling, right? And in spite of the shifts that were happening in organizations on the policies and processes front, we still had a lot of senior leaders coming back and telling us that things are not really changing in spite of all the things that you see in the media.
Yeah.
And when we went deeper, we realized that this is really about unconscious biases, microaggressions that women are facing, along with the tough act of balancing, their work with family, which always has a huge importance in the life, as being the primary caretaker, if I might say, so most of the families. And therefore, we started this journey talking about unconscious biases, getting this community together to discuss their professional challenges. Again, as I said, the idea being that you keep solving those challenges, you keep utilizing the collective wisdom so that you're able to grow professionally, breaking one barrier after another. But as you said, Joanne, and it is really your expertise talking there. A lot of people keep, stay connected with the community because of the support, and not just professional support. It is the emotional support. It is it is the spiritual support, whatever you call it. But the fact that it reinforces messages that you are not alone in this battle. You are not the only one in this world who's going through challenges, and therefore discussing those challenges and finding solutions. So as you very rightly said, the role of the community has become extremely critical with families shrinking. The concept of joint families has more or less disappeared as far as our region is concerned. Long working hours, because the professional roles have become extremely challenging and extremely demanding. And within that, how do you really find that space for yourself? For conversations that are meaningful for you, that are important for you. And this has become an important element of that entire journey.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm sure that has been your experience as well.
It's true. During my years in corporate and in nonprofit, it was tough. My kids were young. My husband was very supportive. He worked from home. He had his own business. So the issue of having to run to childcare and run home to make dinner and try to, do all of that was not as bad for me. But many of my colleagues didn't have that same kind of situation at home. And it's so challenging. Just just the whole business of handling daycare when your children are young, and that terrible feeling that you have when you realize that they've been there at the daycare for almost 10, maybe even 12 hours, depending on how it goes, between the time it takes to take them there and bring them home and all of that. It just really it really tugs at your heart as a mother, and yet that's what the job demands. And so what do you do? Because you it's a career that you want to advance, and so you have to work within those parameters, but it's really challenging. And so what you're talking about in Women Lead, having other women at your level to talk to share ideas, just like you say, to know that you're not alone, and that other people are experiencing the same things. It's just an amazing source of support for women. And it's a great thing to hear that you're doing this. So when you say that you have women internationally, do you have chapters in different countries, or how does it work? How is it organized?
So right now we don't have chapters. We are all connected through WhatsApp because we realized that that's the best way to have conversations.
Mm-hmm.
And we now have a presence on LinkedIn as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a LinkedIn group, but we hope to sort of give it a more formal shape in the time to come. So
Mm-hmm.
we're already launching city-wise chapters within India,
Mm-hmm.
and as we gain more momentum, as we gain more members, we
Mm-hmm.
really hope that we will be able to launch the international chapters as well.
Well, that's
Uh,
exciting.
that's very, very exciting. And Joanne, having you as a part of our, uh, you know, or our team, would be
Well,
very,
I'm
very.
happy, yeah, to be able to spread the word, because I think it's a very valuable thing. I think the higher up you go, the more isolated you can be. And, you just, unfortunately, in the corporate world, you're never quite sure who your friends are. And it's difficult to be that vulnerable and to share those things that are challenging to you, um, if there's not a safe environment to do that. And so what you're doing with Women Lead, it is serving a really strong and valuable purpose for women, to be able to have that safe space where they can share their concerns and show their weaknesses. Because in business, as you know, it's if you they'll go for the throat if they can.
Absolutely. I mean, in business, especially with the kind of competition, as you said, that women themselves face, as you go higher up.
Mm-hmm.
One of our realizations has been that though we talk about skill development, we talk about competency development, we talk about handling critical conversations with senior leaders. But at the same time, how do you manage the perception at workplace also becomes a very, very critical factor which could play a role in the development journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for example, till 5 years back, uh, I believe that women like to operate from a space of trust and transparency. Right? And if there is a challenge, they really don't hesitate in disclosing it in professional situations.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if there is a gentleman who's faced with the same situation, they will not really go into details, right? So if they have to go out, they'll just say that we have a meeting and we're stepping out
Right.
without any explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, while women do have that tendency to give an explanation for
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
And those are some subtle shifts that we also emphasize on as we talk to our members, saying that, you are undertaking a professional journey. How do you actually network? How do you go beyond the confines of your role? Because it is
Mm-hmm.
important. And also, be mindful of the kind of messaging that you are really giving out to your critical stakeholders in a professional environment. So different things, I think, help different people depending on the life stage and the kind of challenges that they're facing. But we really hope that they are able to fly and really achieve their aspirations, achieve their dreams. I think at the end of the day, that's the mission.
Yes. It's challenging, I think, for women to balance the feminine and the masculine in terms of their approach, and because women tend to be more nurturing. These are generalizations, but there are certain traits that women have which come so naturally to them, and yet in the business world they appear to be weaknesses, or they appear to they're not valued in the same way. And so it's tough, right? Either sometimes you feel like you have to stifle all of your feminine intuition and your inclinations and try to develop that masculine side of you and do it the way the guys do it. And yet
Yeah.
I don't think it's not as effective as being able to include aspects of your feminine intuition and your communication skills and your abilities. It's just it's learning which parts of those to incorporate and which parts to leave behind. Like you said, that sense that, oh, well, I have to explain to everybody why I'm going so that they'll understand. And it's like, no, you don't.
Absolutely. It's fine if they really don't know all the details.
Yeah.
Stop you from taking time out if you
Yeah.
truly believe that you need to spend time with your parent or your spouse or your child.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because recently, last week, I was doing a leadership development intervention for a German manufacturing firm here. And there was a team leader who was talking about how, for the first time, they've got a female production supervisor at the shop floor,
Mm-hmm.
right? Manufacturing, because of shifts and all, have not really conventionally seen a very, very diverse workforce.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But now things are changing. And he was saying it is so surprising that since we've got this lady on, we've become very careful about, how we behave at workplace. And personally, as a team leader, I think we become more focused and more disciplined in terms of how we do things. So it is not really just about at the top. I do believe that when women come in and bring in their energies, there's a significant impact that organizations can see, and therefore that really links to all the research that we've been seeing, on the kind of business outcomes that more diverse organizations are seeing. And therefore, there's definitely merit from the perspective of business performance, but even from a cultural perspective, and when I say cultural perspective, I'm talking about the work culture at the team level. We feel that it goes through a huge positive shift as we get more and more diversity in. And as soon as we have policies and processes which can guarantee safety, which can guarantee those working conditions, we hope to see women becoming more inclusive even at the bottom level in conventional industry sectors like manufacturing, along with we taking the lead at the top. And that is already a trend that we are seeing across the globe.
There's some interest.
And just, Joanne, on that one thing which you said, which I think is very, very, very important, how do you balance the masculine with the feminine energies and not really lose the essence and the strength we have as women? That is extremely critical.
Yeah, it's a challenge. I remember reading an article somewhere, and I should have kept it. They talked about how the outcomes of groups is enhanced when there's diversity between men and women in group settings and problem solving. That what comes to the table with the women is a different way of looking at things, and when they're allowed to express their opinions and be involved in the decision making, decisions improve.
Right.
So
that is one, and it's interesting. So we were doing work with one of the global unicorns recently, And again, the focus was diversity and inclusion. And when we were speaking to team leaders as part of initial diagnostic, one of them said that, usually from a business context, speed has become essential.
Yes.
Therefore, uh, if I allocate uh, the same task to different members of my team,
Mm-hmm.
I find that perhaps the main members will do it faster.
Mm-hmm.
But when you talk about quality, when
Yeah.
you talk about the quality of input and output,
Uh-huh.
I think my women team members do a much better job as compared to my male team members. And
Yeah.
they, diversity to me makes a lot of sense, because at the end of the day, we are saying that for business performance, we need to balance speed with quality.
Yes.
And they bring the two energies together. A team can actually achieve both the elements,
Mm-hmm.
speed and quality.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
is not about focus on one energy to the extent of excluding the other one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, really about creating a cohesive unit, which is leveraging the collective energies
Mm-hmm.
to obtain enhanced performance and obtain enhanced results. Has that been your experience as well, John?
Yes. Yes. When, you know, but it only works if women are allowed to participate in the process. If they're just there and have to pay lip service to what the men are deciding, then you don't get the benefit of their energy and their intuition and they just have a different way of thinking about things, at approaching a problem. And so it's really important that they become active partners, not just a pretty face at the table. um, I think
Absolutely.
that's, yeah.
Yeah. I think coming back to a point on midlife,
Yes.
one of the advantages that it has is that you learn how to speak up, uh,
Yes.
as a leader, because of your confidence in yourself
Mm-hmm.
and your knowledge and awareness about what is happening. And therefore our focus has been that how do we even get the younger leaders
Mm-hmm.
in the organizations to exhibit and express their opinions and
Mm-hmm.
not really be quiet. So
Right.
speaking up has been a big mantra for us that we've been
Yes.
talking about a lot within women lead as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Learning how to speak up too is an important piece of that, I think, because, you know, women who are very forward in their speaking and they can be labeled so poorly, labeled as being bossy, labeled as being bitchy, labeled as, all kinds of negative stereotypes for a woman who speaks up. So, learning how to speak up in a way that carries your message and yet doesn't immediately evoke those stereotypes is a critical element of that learning process.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's been a critical journey for us, especially when we are coaching young women leaders
Mm-hmm.
who are transitioning up the managerial levels within their
Mm-hmm.
organizations. Uh, I believe there's a difference between Eastern and Western philosophy here. Usually, when I have dealt with counterparts and my colleagues, let's say from the West, we find that everyone is very equal, when there's a platform
Mm-hmm.
where diverse people are coming together to discuss an issue.
Mm-hmm.
In Eastern philosophy, conventionally, both uh, the male and the female child uh, is taught how to respect their elders, uh, how to listen to them, and not really contradict them at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And that sort of carries forward even as they grow up as individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, it is shifting now. I think the whole education system is changing,
Mm.
and children now are much more independent about their thought processes and feel safe to express them as well.
Mm-hmm.
But at a societal level, if I say, has this been across all stratas of the society at this point in time?
Not
Perhaps
yet. Mm-hmm.
that change will come. It's already started coming.
So, what are you seeing among your older women members um, in terms of, as you grow older in business for women? That's not a good thing. For men, it seems to enhance their promotability, but for women, it tends to detract from that. And what's been your experience for your older women members?
Yeah, there have been various interesting conversations, right? From why do we feel the need to color our hair, right?
Yes.
And Joel, you would agree with me, right? So, uh, so we were at an event and we had a lot of entrepreneurs and we had a lot of senior women mentors there, but you cannot see white hair there.
Yeah, right.
And that triggered a conversation. So clearly there's a need to maintain a certain position, right?
Yeah.
That we are saying. The the second challenge that we are seeing amongst our senior women leaders is really related to handling those critical career transitions,
Mm-hmm.
coming up. So a lot of these leaders, because they have taken that initiative in order to play a more active role in their businesses, take on higher responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you're actually offered an opportunity, let's say to take a business role, a senior business role, to head a geography or to head a global role, sometimes there's that need to come back to have a conversation about what is the best approach for doing that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the second need that we see emerging. Third could be basically in terms of life stage,
Mm-hmm.
especially when career transition which is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So what we are increasingly seeing is as senior leaders hit a glass ceiling within their organizations, at a certain point of time, they might like to opt out of a corporate career and be on in that case, how do you start that journey? Sometimes you might just need a coach and say it's fine. You'll not die if you give up your corporate career. If you are absolutely fed up with it,
Right.
you now have so much experience and you have an expertise that you can really leverage in the market. So giving them that confidence for
Mm-hmm.
taking that step, pushing them,
Mm-hmm.
creating, again, using the community to support each other in terms of creation of business opportunities, handling those critical conversations internally, again, related to career transition, are really the core type of issues that get discussed as part of the community platform.
Do you find that women are more concerned? So when they're offered an opportunity or there's one that they think they want to go after, do they tend to be more concerned about, can I do this job? Can I do all of this job? And if I can't, then, oh, I shouldn't take this job.
Um, you're right. I mean, there's that sense, can I do this or not? Will I be able to do justice to it? I really haven't done this before. How do I manage such a large team? So those are the kind of questions that we see emerging. And a lot of them do then tend to go to coaches or go to their mentors to help them think through these elements. I think the good thing which is happening now, Joanne, is at least people are not saying no.
No, that's right. At least they're stopping to think about it. It's like, well, let me get back to you on that. And then they go and they try and figure it out. Very early on in my career, I remember going to a luncheon, and this woman was talking about the fact that women feel that they have to know everything about a new opportunity, or they're not willing to step forward to it. But the problem is that's very detrimental to their career, because men don't look at it that way. Men, for whatever reason, they're socialized to think, oh, well, I can do that. I know 20% about how that works. No problem. I can figure out the rest, and so they take opportunities and they move forward faster than women do because of that. And, I think that's it's an important thing to raise awareness to, the fact that, that's a natural inclination for women, and you need to fight it, because it's going to hold you back. In my career, there were several times when those words came back to me as I was contemplating whether to step into some new role. And I thought, sure, I need to do this. Why not?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think the sensitization is around saying that you should not let go of opportunities. If there's a good opportunities, it has to be grabbed. Though you can take all the support you want to think through about how you're going to be successful in that new opportunity.
Right.
I think those are the conversations that we are having.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing which is really helping is that we find a lot of senior leaders now taking that initiative to build their personal brand. So they
Mm-hmm.
want to move out of the organizations, they want to be speakers, they want to
Mm-hmm.
contribute as mentors.
Mm-hmm.
And it is from the perspective of not only personal satisfaction, but also saying, okay, what do I stand for as a brand,
Mm-hmm.
which we believe is important from a corporate growth perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Are you seeing there are trends that are happening in the United States where women get to a certain level and they are they're blocked in one way or another. So they hit that glass ceiling, or they come to that realization that the price they're having to pay to move forward is now become too high for whatever reason, and they're opting out of the corporate life. They're, entrepreneurship for female entrepreneurship is on the rise, and it's an interesting thing, right? That women realize that um, why continue to beat your head against the wall when you can take another path and have, more stress, maybe more uncertainty, but more control over your life and your progress. So I wonder if that's something that you're seeing there as well.
Absolutely. And I think I was referring to this earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of women professionals who want to opt out of corporate career and be on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think the biggest thing which holds them back is the state of finances. You know,
Yeah.
to be absolutely honest about it. So,
Mm-hmm.
do I have a buffer that can sustain me for a certain period of time?
Right.
Uh, am I seeing some revenue streams already? If today I was to quit my corporate career, have I invested in building those networks which can help me
Mm-hmm.
once I quit my corporate career? And what we share with the members is it's not something that can be done overnight,
Yeah.
right? You need to, that thought process needs to be there,
Mm-hmm.
that you need to take time out for networking. You need to take time out for your own learning, for your own development, so
Mm-hmm.
that tomorrow if you have to opt out of a corporate career, you're
Mm-hmm.
not really struggling uh,
Yeah. You're not starting from
where the money.
scratch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, Joanne, that brings me to another point, that even with the senior leaders, we find that a lot of them might not be paying due attention to the financial planning,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We manage finances proactively. As
Mm-hmm.
long as you're in a job, you have that steady income which is coming in, and probably some of them might have taken the help of financial experts to plan their finances, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not a widespread phenomenon.
Yeah.
And therefore, if you want to give up your corporate career and move to a solo career or an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurial leg, how do you start building the base?
Right.
And that is important. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another conversation that we've been having, which is how do you
Yes.
managing your finances
That's
effectively?
that's really great because it's a very important part of that. You kind of get lulled into this sense of security that you have this check that's going to come every month. You know what you're going to make, and um, you're not, especially as you're starting out in your career, you're not always as good at putting some money aside, taking a look at how you're spending your money, looking at those priorities and all of that. And so the fact that you're helping women get that financial education is really a tremendous asset for your members, because you need to understand how finances work in order to move forward, and like you say, to make sure that you have that cushion so that you have options, even if it doesn't, it may not mean that you're going to stop what you're doing and go out and start your own business, but it may mean that you're going to make a choice to change your career or to move to a different company, and you may have to start at a lower level in the beginning as you work your way up, but the opportunities will be greater for you. And so in order to do that, you have to know that you have a financial cushion that you can rely on. And, it takes some planning, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's the sensitization that we've been doing,
Mm-hmm.
and and the idea again, as I said, is to help women really with these different aspects
Mm-hmm.
that can help pursue their own career and their own entrepreneurship journey in case they don't want to continue with the corporate.
Yeah. Yeah.
The community sort of supports each other. And even senior leaders, who conventionally fall in that midlife range, some of
Yeah.
these issues even are relevant for some of them.
Yeah.
Uh, People who have still not got into the proactive stage of planning,
Yeah.
say, okay, what do I need to do? So net, we have all these categories, and at a certain stage of life and career, it really depends on. I mean, what we've seen is really related to your vision and your dream, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Some leaders do take that stance that no, we want to grow up the leadership journey in our corporate career because that is where we want to be. We want to be a business head or we want to be a
Right.
CEO. So you sort of support them in their journey.
Yes.
Some people take a drastic shift and they want to contribute to the society or they want to build their own careers because they
Mm-hmm.
find current employment opportunities fairly limiting, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The kind of width it offers to them. And they take that shift. And again, the idea is that how do you support each other morally? How do you support each other
Right.
emotionally? Uh, and sometimes just that feeling saying, okay, I'm not in this alone. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
helps. That's the feedback that we've got from our members.
Yes. Well, it's really a great organization as you describe it, and the things that you're doing to help women, and it's really so needed to be able to reach out and to give women a helping hand and help them step up. And so I'm really happy for you that this is going so well. And I really want to thank you very much for an opportunity to talk with you. It's been great. I've learned a lot, and hopefully our listeners will as well. So I want to thank you very much, Gita.
Thank you so much, Joanne, for this opportunity as well. Through your questions, I've learned, and it's been a pleasure sharing thoughts and perspectives with you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it as well.
Thanks for making time at that, at night and doing this interview.
Oh, that's all right. I've enjoyed it. It's been fun. So you have a good day, and we'll be in touch, okay?
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. As a thank you for being here, I'd like to offer you my Glorious Second Act Workbook and Planner. It's a great tool to help you gain clarity on what it is you want next in your life and to develop a plan to get you there. It's a totally free gift. The link is down below, so click the link, download your planner, and get started, taking action and creating a new and exciting second half to your life. I'm Joanne Kobike, your midlife coach. Stop by again for another episode of Modern Midlife. See you next time.